Okay, so I'm gonna talk kind of quietly because my kids are downstairs. They think I'm wrapping Christmas presents. I am wrapping Christmas presents, but I also wanted to do a quick 4-week update because I found out 6 days ago, it'll be a week tomorrow, that I'm pregnant with baby number 4, and I'm so freaking excited and grateful after our experience with our third, losing him to Group B strep, which I shared another video. I'll link it for you below if you want to go watch. But ever since having him, we've desired another child, and getting that positive was just like so amazing. I'm just like on cloud 9, honestly. I've never felt more grateful, more happy, more excited to be pregnant in my life. And I'm realizing this time around just how much I actually enjoy it and how special it is. The changes that come to your body, they can be challenging, but they're also incredibly amazing. It's like nothing you've ever experienced before. And it's like the epitome to me of feeling like a woman and becoming like a new version of myself. It always brings forth a new version of me, and I get to see who that version is as I go through the process. But I'm very, very, very excited. It was challenging at first, feeling like it wasn't happening, and I had a chemical pregnancy in September. But there were definitely some things that I shifted and I changed in the end of November. And I know the exact moment that I like shifted things internally. And so I kind of thought this was coming because I knew that it was my own internal stuff that was keeping this from happening. It wasn't other things keeping this from happening. So that was really, really big for me. And I kind of expected it. So when we were in Universal Studios, we were in Florida last week, and I literally asked Peter, I was like, would you pick up a pregnancy test at the store? So he picked one up, and I took it, and then I hopped in the shower, and I got out of the shower, and there it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, there it is. Like I was surprised, but I wasn't. I was like, I knew this was coming. Like I knew. And then 2 days later, I took this one. So first one, I was 12 days post-ovulation. This one, I was 14 days post-ovulation. Then I took another one that was 16 days post-ovulation. And then, my dog. Then I took one this morning, 18 days post-ovulation. I ran out of this kind, so here it is right here. And what I'm looking for is just the line getting darker. With my chemical pregnancy, it was very, very faint, and I tested on like days 10 and 11, and I got very, very faint lines. And then on day 13, I got like a positive digital, but then my period started just a few days after that. So I'm farther along this time that I made then, and the lines are a lot darker, and that's what I'm looking for. As far as symptoms go, they've been my usual, which is I get a little emotional, which means I can cry at the drop of a hat. Ads on TV make me cry, right? Stuff like that. And then my nipples have been very nipply. That's always the first sign for me, is they start like sticking out and they feel like they're tingling like all the time. It's not like a breast pain, it's like my actual nipples. And those two things are always like my first sign. I don't feel like fatigue yet or nausea or anything like that, but I'm only 4 weeks and 4 days. So it's a little early on that, but feeling so excited, so grateful, hopeful, some anxiety for sure, which I think is normal, especially considering what we've been through. And that's week 4. I'll keep updating you. Okay, I am officially 5 weeks, 5 days pregnant. I'm going to do a quick update about 5 weeks and what that's been looking like for me. All of my pregnancies, this is my 4th one, all of them, week 5 for me is pretty uneventful. My symptoms don't really change very much from week 4 to week 5. So I've had my nipples nippling like they were last week. They're still very prominent, I'll just say that. I've had some cramps, but not as bad as like last week. And I've definitely had some low back pain, but that could also be a combination of my workouts because I'm still training just the same as before. So I've had a really strong workout routine going for months now, almost a year. So I've been sticking with that. I haven't stopped my workouts or any of my routine around that. So overall, my energy is still about the same. I have noticed that I've wanted more naps, and I'm not typically a napper. Like I can't actually sleep. I'll get tired, but I can't actually sleep. But I've actually been sleeping when I lay down sometimes in the afternoons. So that's been something that I've noticed, is I've just felt a little more tired and wanted some naps. And they have actually been happening for me, which is actually kind of nice. But I'm not really feeling anything else at this point as far as like feeling bloated or anything like that. I actually don't feel very bloated yet. I haven't had any cravings or anything like that. I have noticed a couple of times during my workout where I'm like, ooh, I think I'm starting to feel a tiny bit queasy, but nothing overt, nothing to make me like stop my workout. So that's good. I'm crossing my fingers that's gonna last. I think the biggest thing that's different for me this time around is just I've had more fears coming up around potential loss or miscarriage than I've ever had. Like all my pregnancies before, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I didn't even consider that. And this time around, just after going through loss last time, and then I had a chemical pregnancy before this, I think I just have more thoughts that maybe I didn't have before. I think it's totally normal. And when that's happening, I'm just reminding myself to go back to the outcome that I want, the outcome that I really am focused on having in my life, and also just being confident in the fact that I know this is gonna happen no matter what at some point in time, and just like really letting myself rest in that. We haven't told the kids yet. Last time we told the kids like right at like 4.5 weeks when I found out. But we haven't told them yet. We were just kind of waiting a couple of weeks to like make sure something didn't happen like with my chemical pregnancy last time. But we're planning on telling them right when I hit 6 weeks, which is in a couple of days. And it actually happens to fall on New Year's Eve. So it's gonna be really fun. I got some presents to give them, like a little onesie that says, you know, and then there were 4 on it, and I can't wait. It's actually been really hard to like keep it a secret from them because they've really wanted this baby. In particular, my daughter has really wanted this baby and she's been asking for it. So I'm very excited. And then once we tell them, we'll tell our families, but we're choosing to keep it private for a while after that. Just because I think we want some privacy this time around. We want to be able to enjoy this season and having some privacy while we navigate this and figure this out these first few months. So we're giving ourselves the space to do that. A couple of things that are totally different this time around than my other pregnancies is that I had 0 implantation spotting or bleeding or anything. And I wouldn't usually have had like bleeding before, but I did notice with all of my other pregnancies, there was a time right about when my period was due that I'd have just a spot, like just a light spot where it's just the pinkest tinge, right, of like discharge. And I always just knew, oh, like there we go. And that didn't happen this time. So that was really weird for me. That didn't happen, number one. And what was the other one? Oh yes, I haven't really had a ton of discharge. I've had some, but it's been more on like the clear side and there's not been a ton of it. Whereas before I felt like with my pregnancies pretty immediately, I started having a fair amount of like milky discharge. And it was like creamy, you know, like discharge. And I haven't really been having that yet. I'm sure it's coming. And I've had some and it's been clear, which I know is totally normal. But yeah, those are the 2 things that have been different. And it's just showed me like every pregnancy can be different. They are not the same. Just because you had things happen with one doesn't mean it's gonna happen the same with the next. So I'm also crossing my fingers that this means this pregnancy is gonna be completely different as far as even the sickness goes and the food aversions and all of that. And I am planning on continuing as normal a routine as possible for as long as I can. I'm planning on sticking to my workout routine, which is lifting weights 4 times a week. and then doing 1 day of zone 2 cardio. And then I usually walk also in addition to the weight training. So I'm planning on continuing that as long as I can. Obviously I'll have to make modifications as I start to get a bump and enter second trimester and things like that. But for the most part, I'm planning on, if I feel great, even if I don't feel great, I'm gonna do it, because in the past with my pregnancies, workouts have been so crucial for me in actually giving me energy. I don't have energy to work out. I'm always like, I'm too tired. How could I possibly work out? But if I actually go make myself do it, I actually have more energy afterwards and I feel 1,000,000% better. Like I'll feel less sick, I'll feel less tired, I feel more sexy, I don't feel as fat, right? Like all of it. So it's one of those things where mentally you just have to like decide to do it even if you don't feel like it. And it really pays off for me in the long run. So far I have noticed I've been feeling, I think, a little bit more breathless in my workouts. That's been like my first sign, is I just feel a little bit more out of breath, which I know is also part of just hormones changing. That's like the only thing I've really noticed in my workouts yet. Thank goodness. A habit and routine that I had already established before getting pregnant was eating a lot of protein every day. I eat between 130 to 150 grams of protein per day. And then I also count my macros, and I eat a pretty balanced ratio of carbs to protein. And then there's obviously fat in there as well. And I'm really gonna focus this time on really trying to stick to that as much as possible, especially just really focusing on getting the protein, because I've heard that if you can really do a lot of protein, you can actually help prevent nausea and you won't be as sick with morning sickness. So I've never gone into a pregnancy eating this much protein regularly before. And so I'm hoping that that's gonna make a difference. And we'll see here in the next few weeks if that's gonna help stave off that morning sickness and allow me to stick to more healthy choices the first trimester. So we'll see how that goes, but that's my plan. Something I have noticed the last couple of weeks is just, I haven't been sleeping as great at night because I can't like find the right temperature. My body temperature is a little warmer than normal, and so I feel hot, but then I take off the covers and then I'm cold, and it's like this back and forth thing. And that to me always happens right before I get my period, right? And then you get your period and you drop in your hormones and you go back to being like normal body temperature. Well, I'm pregnant, so obviously that didn't happen. And so because my body temperature has stayed and all the hormones have stayed and are climbing, my body is still just like getting used to that. And so I don't think I've been sleeping as good because I'm more warm than usual. But I do know that that's also normal. It's a part of early pregnancy. So that's just something that I've noticed. I have to say, I've never gone into a pregnancy with this great of a routine in place and my health in such a good place. I've been working with a trainer, I've been eating my macros and counting my macros and working on gaining muscle and lowering my body fat, and then also like balancing my hormones and my gut and everything else. I've never gone into a pregnancy like this before, and I'm hoping that it makes a difference in my energy levels and just how I feel through the whole pregnancy, especially because I've already got that routine in place. I can just keep going with it. But also, I'm really hoping that I'll enjoy the pregnancy a lot more, and I'm already enjoying it more, and I'm already more excited about it than I was the last few times, because I feel so good about myself already that I feel more confident in being able to do this. Like, I feel more confident in being able to have the energy, and I feel more confident in the fact that I can look amazing while I'm pregnant, right? All of those things that when you find out you're pregnant, you're like, oh great, I'm gonna get fat and I'm gonna like be tired all the time and my feet are gonna hurt, blah, blah, blah. I'm not having that come up this time because I'm like, no, I already look great. I'm already in a great place and I already have these habits working for me. So this is gonna make it a lot easier to walk this out. Hoping that's the case. That's what we're going for. So there's my week 5 update. I'm enjoying the last few days of just Peter and I knowing this little secret, this little present that God gave us before Christmas. And by the time I do my next update, we'll have told the kids. I really can't wait to tell them. Having older kids and being able to tell them about a baby is like 1,000,000 times more fun than just you finding out you're having a baby, you and your husband. I didn't know how fun it would be until we did it last time, and now they're even older and they want it even more. And so it's something that I feel so grateful that I get to experience, and that I also get to experience with them, and that they get to experience, because I didn't know how much they would want this and how much it would be for them too. So I can't wait to tell them. I will see you next week. I'll be back with the week 6 update. Don't forget to subscribe and follow along if you want to keep going with me on this journey. I'll see you back next week.